This last week has been such a blur. I honestly don't remember what I've shared and what I haven't. 8 days ago, we learned that one person in the 4-person contract was no longer going to sign the contract. And so that pretty much put our whole family life into kind of limbo or chaos for a little while. As Jordan Peterson says, it threw us into the belly of chaos. But it's been a good week. 1 week ago today, we were driving home from Colorado. That was Thursday. Friday, we went over and cleaned up the rental house because the tenants had left it a mess and the owners hadn't even had a chance to address it because it had just been turned in. And so in lieu of a deposit, we were able to just clean the house, which is such a blessing. And then Saturday, we moved in to our rental house that is 3 blocks away from my parents' house. It's crazy. We've been living there now for 6 days, and we're just in a real place of openness right now. We've been praying through our options and just asking God to make it very clear for us what's next. We have no debt. We have no commitments. We have a month-to-month rental, no obligations at all to anyone. So we're really open. We've been talking about what do we really want to do. We've been talking about, do you want to go back to seminary? Do we want to buy a franchise? Do we, want to try something else? I've thought about, do I want to go back to school? And I've thought about getting my law degree or my MBA in marketing. So we've thought about all kinds of things, but the thing that we feel the best about is just hunkering down and him getting a faithful job for a time and kind of give ourselves space and time to exist in a normal-ish mode of being. And so he actually just got a job offer today. He had some interviews earlier this week. He had another interview today. But this job offer was for one that he had on Monday. Yeah, lots to be thankful for, lots of change in our lives, but we feel okay about it. I am actually on my way right now to a meeting for a charter school, just to learn about it for some of our older kids. One family that I really admired growing up, I liked that their kids were pretty well grounded. They were grounded in their faith, but they were also able to really interact well in the world. And this family had 6 sons. And I think in 8th grade, they had their sons go to public school. And so for a long time, I've thought that that's an interesting approach. I'm just contemplating my options now. Since we're not running a business every summer and going to be back in October the way that we thought, we now have options available to us that wouldn't have been available to us if we had gotten a lodge. Just a word about that. We've had a lot of tears and a lot of shock. But one thing that God has done in our lives a lot is take us through these really big pivots where all of a sudden God changes a lot about our lives. And it's hard not to feel whiplash in that. But also when we get calls like we did on the way home from Dallas, like we weren't even in Dallas and we already had a rental house and it's 3 blocks from my parents and it was all already clearly ordained for us by God. It was just like, okay, I guess I've just learned to say, okay, Lord, like this is clearly what you're doing. So I am going to walk in it. I'm going to be open. So that's the main word that keeps coming to my mind right now, is just that I feel very, very open to anything. I'm sure there are things that I would say no to just by virtue of like the stage our family is in or something like that. But I honestly feel freed from burdens of, as much as it depends on me, I am at peace with all men. I am at rest with what God is doing in our family life. I am walking with my eyes on Jesus through what I think is a hard season. Releasing young adults is hard, but I'm at rest with our place in life right now and the opportunities that God's put in front of us and the friendships that He's given us. I love Texas. The kids love Texas. We love our church. I love that we have so many gospel-focused options for church around us. I think about friends that I have that live in places that I would call a spiritual desert, where your options are all pretty bad. And I'm just grateful for this season that God has put us in, where we can grow, just kind of like exist in this open state that we are in. Well, last year I released my first adult into the world, and this year I've just attended my first information session for an official school, which is kind of wild. I did like 14 years of homeschooling, and now I'm contemplating this other option, and it feels really good.